The Poor Father Who Was Actually a Millionaire. Samuel Turner arrived at the wedding hall alone. His shoes were worn, his coat faded, and his hands rough from years of work. The hall glittered with chandeliers, expensive flowers, and people dressed in luxury. Laughter echoed everywhere, but no one noticed him. A few guests glanced at him briefly and then looked away, assuming he was just another unimportant old man who had somehow wandered inside. Samuel was the groom's father, yet no one came to welcome him. He did not complain. He had chosen this appearance carefully. He wanted to see the truth with his own eyes, not the respect people showed to money, but the respect they showed to a human being with nothing. He sat quietly at the back, observing everything. Daniel Turner, his son, stood near the center of the hall, smiling proudly beside his bride. Daniel believed his father was poor. Samuel had raised him alone after his wife's death, living a simple life and never once revealing his wealth. Daniel loved his father, but tonight love mixed with shame. He feared how his rich in-laws would judge him if they knew where he came from. When Daniel noticed his father sitting alone, his smile faded for a moment. Instead of walking toward him, he turned away. Samuel saw that too, and it hurt more deeply than any insult. During dinner, Samuel was given a small plate and placed at a corner table. Conversation stopped when he spoke. Some people laughed softly when he asked simple questions. A man whispered, "He doesn't belong here." Another smiled cruelly and said, "Poor people should know their place." Samuel smiled gently and remained silent. Inside, memories rushed through his mind. Boardrooms, contracts worth millions, employees who once stood when he entered the room. Tonight, none of that mattered. Here, he was invisible. Years ago, Samuel had built a construction empire from nothing. After his wife died, money lost all meaning. He sold his businesses, invested quietly, and chose a life of anonymity. Raising Daniel with humility became his only purpose. He wanted his son to value people, not wealth. But tonight, he realized he had failed. Daniel's father-in-law approached Samuel with a mocking smile. "You must feel lucky attending such a wedding," he said sarcastically. Samuel replied softly, "I am proud of my son." Daniel heard it. He looked away. That moment broke something inside Samuel. He stepped outside into the cold night air. His chest felt tight, but he ignored it. Pain had followed him all his life. Emotional pain, loneliness, loss. This felt no different. He sat on a bench beneath the dark sky, breathing heavily. "No one should ever feel ashamed of their parents," he whispered. The pain grew stronger. His vision blurred. Samuel collapsed quietly onto the empty street. There were no final words, no dramatic farewell. The man who once owned everything died alone, unnoticed. Days later, Samuel was buried under a simple stone. People whispered, "Poor old man." Daniel stood beside the grave in silence, still ashamed, still unaware. 3 days after the funeral, a black car stopped outside Daniel's new home. A lawyer stepped inside and spoke words that shattered Daniel's world. Properties, accounts, trust funds, companies, donations made quietly for years. Daniel felt the room spin. "He lived like that by choice?" Daniel whispered. "Yes," the lawyer replied, "and he was proud of you." That night, Daniel broke down completely. He tore his wedding suit, screamed into the walls, and collapsed onto the floor. Every ignored call, every moment of shame replayed in his mind. Samuel's final letter was short. "If you are reading this, I am gone. Remember this, money changes nothing that truly matters. Love your parents loudly. Silence hurts more than poverty. Years passed. Daniel became successful, but happiness never followed. Every achievement felt empty. He built charities in his father's name, but regret lived with him every day. Some lessons arrive too late. Some apologies are never heard. That regret followed Daniel everywhere. In the weeks after the funeral, Daniel began remembering moments he had once ignored. His father waiting by the phone late at night, his father cooking simple meals and smiling proudly at him, his father standing quietly at school events, clapping softly while other parents showed off. Samuel had never asked for anything. Daniel remembered the last time his father had visited his apartment before the wedding. Samuel had stood near the door holding a small envelope. "I won't stay long," he had said gently. Daniel had been busy on his phone. "Dad, I have meetings. Just leave it on the table." The envelope contained a handwritten note and a simple watch, the same watch Samuel's wife had given him years ago. Daniel never opened it. Now, sitting alone at night, Daniel finally read that letter again and again. His hands shook as tears blurred the words. He realized how carefully his father had hidden his pain, how quietly he had loved. Daniel tried to justify himself at first. He told himself that pressure had changed him, that society had expectations, but excuses died quickly. Deep down, he knew the truth. He had chosen pride over gratitude. At family gatherings with his in-laws, Daniel became silent. The same people who once mocked his father now praised Daniel's wealth. Every compliment felt like a knife. Every laugh sounded fake. He stopped attending social events. Luxury disgusted him. The house felt empty despite its beauty. One evening, Daniel visited the old neighborhood where Samuel used to live. The small rented room was already occupied by someone else. Daniel stood outside for a long time, imagining his father sitting inside alone, drinking tea, waiting for a call that never came. Daniel fell to his... "I'm sorry, Dad," he whispered into the night. But the night gave no answer. Years later, Daniel became a father himself. Holding his newborn child, he finally understood the depth of a parent's love. It crushed him. He promised his child one thing, that no matter what, he would never allow shame to stand between love. Still, every success Daniel achieved felt incomplete. Every celebration carried a shadow. At night, he often dreamed of his father sitting at the back of the wedding hall, alone and smiling gently. Daniel would wake up crying. He spent the rest of his life trying to honor a man he failed when it mattered most. And though the world remembered Samuel Turner as a poor, quiet old man, Daniel remembered him as the richest soul he had ever known.